Hello, everyone, and thank you. I am the Holistic-Yogi, and welcome to my podcast. I am Kamala Ingrid, and today I have a wonderful, beautiful host, guest that will be attempting today all about motherhood and becoming an entrepreneur. And how many years? Her name is Alexandra.
Yes.
Please correct me with your last name. How do you
Silience.
Silience, Alexandria Silience. Thank you for joining me today, and let's go ahead. And I wanted to ask you, we've all gone through a holistic journey in our lives, bringing us to our purpose. How did you get here to where you are today, becoming as a mother and as well as becoming an entrepreneur in today's society, especially with this COVID time, where things are changing and rapidly, and we're going through, different ways of doing business now.
Very true. Yes. Thank you. And I think my wellness journey really started kind of around the same time I think my spiritual journey started, I would say.
How long ago was that?
It started with a book, probably like 7 or 8 years ago, maybe 9 years ago now.
Okay.
I was in the middle of cosmetology school, not
Wow.
something I wanted to do. And I read this book called A World Beyond by Ruth Montgomery.
Okay.
And it just kind of, I don't know, a lot of things just shifted and clicked and like, oh my goodness, oh, okay. And from there, it was kind of like, oh, I realized that I kind of don't really favor eating these things and this, and it's kind of snowballed its way from there.
Okay. Interesting. And then, how did it feel like to go through the transition? Was it hard, or was it easy, or?
Yeah, it was, I think it was pretty difficult for some parts of it.
I lost you a little bit. Okay.
Okay, hold on just
There we go.
1 second. I think that it was pretty hard for the most part, but there was a lot of divine helpers that I had along the way. So, they would come in those times where it was really dark and it was really confusing and deeply almost disturbing of like, I do not know what is going on. And so, I'd meet random friends or people that maybe I wouldn't normally be connected with. And
How did they pull you through this process? Like, what was that like?
I'm sorry.
How did they pull you through this process? What was that like for you?
It was just a journey of being supported and held and surrendering to what it looked like.
Yeah, that's
Because of
surrendering.
course, yes, you have that idea in your head of like, well, the people who I want in my life to help me through this journey, I want it to be my spouse. I want it to be this person, that person, and do it in these ways. And I don't know if it's ever like that, honestly.
It just, you have to be open, because from my experience as well, and from the years I've been teaching, you just, as long as you're open, it will come to you in different ways, not the way you experience or what you manifest it to be. You just have to be open to allow it to come. It is the most challenging, yet at the same time, I guess, humbling experience.
Yeah.
I would say.
I agree.
Yeah. And how did you slowly, now tell us a little bit about your company? How did you get into it, and how long have you been in this passion project, and where you are today?
So right now I have a brand called A.N.D, and it's centered around recognizing, acknowledging, embodying our natural divinity, because the A.N. stands for all's naturally divine.
Nice.
So it's just a brand centered around being able to know that there are no parts of you that are shameful or bad or not worthy or not good, or all the things that we've been so polarized about. There's no polar within my brand, I guess. And I'm like, I don't mean that to say like forever, there's no polar in my brand, but I mean in the sense that it signifies the conjoining, the
Okay.
togetherness of our entirety. And it's been a journey to get that up and going, that's for sure. Um, it's
How long
been in
has
the
that been?
works for probably 2 years now. The logo just got done last year. And so then kind of after that, things started naturally snowballing themselves into fruition.
That's beautiful. Yeah, sometimes they take a lifetime. Mine has been a life journey, and
Yeah.
now everything has kind of somehow kind of come together. Everything I've done in the last over 20 years is now coming together as one, which is I never saw it happening in my life. So, it could take a lifetime,
Yeah.
and it's still ongoing over the
Yep.
years. So, don't feel like it's oh my God, it won't take off. It's
Yeah.
something that will take off, but sometimes we don't even see it or know.
Yeah.
And it somehow, once it feels right, it just works. Like you said, it starts flowing.
Yep. Yep.
Everything
And I
just
think there's like a cinching process too, where
mhm,
all of the webs you've been weaving and stuff, they eventually just
come
all
together.
line up.
Isn't that
Yep.
beautiful? It's
Yes.
weird because for the longest time, I've always, I don't know about you, but I've pushed projects and thought that they were meant to happen. And I push, and you find yourself finding, you know, uh, roadblocks.
Yeah.
And then I learned the art of letting go and flowing, just like
Yep.
timing, perfect timing. And then once that became easy for me then, because I had a very controlling issue, wanting everything to be perfect, a certain way, a certain look, a certain style, a certain, oh my God.
Yes.
Letting go of that was impatience. That's been my number one thing to this day. I think it's my lifelong journey
Yeah.
to have patience,
Yes.
and patience with everything unfolding in due time. Now I just kind of ride with it now. So
Yeah.
taking a lifetime, but I
Yeah.
can imagine.
Yes.
And I can imagine how fun have you kept it during those challenging times for yourself, in those moments that you feel like, oh my God, I'm gonna pull my hair, but you know what, or you're gonna give up, but how do you keep moving forward? What can you say to our audience on how you kept things flowing for yourself for fun?
I think really acknowledging where I am at and where I've came from, and being able to see the progress that I've made, and not just see it, but really like feel it. Trying to tap into the energy that I was in the state when I was really lost, or really didn't know what my purpose was, or was still really stuck and trapped inside myself, and or outside myself really.
How old were
And
you say you were in that time? Like how old were you in that state?
oh goodness, probably 20, 21, 22,
That's
um, maybe into my 23, honestly. And it was just really a journey of holding myself safe, like literally and metaphorically holding myself, knowing that if I needed to take an extra hour in the morning to sleep, that I would do that for myself. And just
that's beautiful.
really cultivating that trust in myself that if I need something, I will do it, get it done, find out who can do it. And cultivating the self trust, I think, helped a lot.
Yeah, trust is very big in oneself, to really have that trust in ourselves and move us to pull forward. And a lot of things when we lose that and that faith in ourselves, I find us really, in shallow waters. I've seen people go into deep, dark depression, and it's
Mhm.
very sad.
Yeah.
Um, what are your like? Where are you now taking? What's your goal in the next 5 years with your business? And what do you want to see? How you want to thrive from here, from today, moving on 5 years from now? Where do you see yourself?
So within my business, where I see myself is moving up to, like 10K months, 20K months. different things like that. Um, and then just really like on a more realistic level, I just want to really be able to know that people are seen and are heard and are loved and are acknowledged, because that's sometimes a rarity within our society. And knowing that I have a good skill set and being able to hold space and like really acknowledge somebody's where they're at, and deeply understand where they're coming from, and like just genuinely valuing them and their experience that they're going through. So I want to be able to do that for as many people as humanly possible within the next 5 years. And then, I mean, hopefully this is within the 5 year mark, but 5 to 10, maybe, whatever, all in divine timing. But I would really like to be able to open up places for people who don't have homes. There's something burning inside of me to provide those standard basic essentials for people, so that this is already done. This is already provided for. You have water, shelter, clothing, food, means to like move around within this world. Okay. That way you have all of this provided for you. You can really focus on yourself and what you're bringing into the world and who you are, and being able to love yourself. Because I think a lot of times we get so caught up in making sure the bills are paid and making sure the food's on the table and all this stuff, that we use this much time to look at ourselves and take care of ourselves. And if we had this much time back, then maybe we would use it wiser.
Yeah. Do you have an idea how you could, how you would see yourself manifesting something like this?
Um, the way that I see it manifesting is in like little, almost tiny home communities, kind of, because I really enjoy architecture and building and just the whole process of creating something,
Community.
especially as significant as a home for somebody. And just really being able to know that if they need resources, if they need help, and being able to hire people who live within the tiny homes, because everybody has so many beautiful skill sets that aren't utilized. Like if somebody knows how to work on plumbing, then please let me not, uh, you know, charge you the like 90% off rent anyway, and you can just have your rent for free completely and totally, but you come fix the toilets or whatever. And it
Right.
doesn't even have to be in exchange for a thing, but it does give people a sense of knowing that they are valued and that they are necessary. And that I want to be able to provide that, not for the rent or the anything like that. It's just more so for people to know, like, I may only be good at plumbing, but you know what? I'm really good at plumbing. You know what I
That's
mean?
beautiful. Yeah, yeah. That there's some kind of give or take, and you receive from one another.
Yeah.
And any other healing journeys you've experienced, other the ones that with other people? Have you experienced any other type of healing journeys in this time or
Oh,
lifetime?
well, my healing journey has encompassed a lot of healing journeys in and of itself.
But which one sticks out the most in general that
Probably my
brought you
depression journey.
coping with that? That's a
I
big thing with a lot of people today, coping with
Yes,
depression.
yes.
And
Yeah.
is that during
I
the time of your
was
kid, you're having your children, or is that without your children in your?
well, I've been able to pull myself out of it when I had my child. Before, I was still working towards that, I guess. But I've had depression since I was little, and um, I was diagnosed with clinical depression when I was 12. And of course, the natural inclination is to get you on medicine and do these things. So I tried that for a while, and I felt really, really off. Like really, really off. Like if I go down this road, I won't find me. And it's not like that was a conscious thought.
Right.
It was just a instinct of knowing, no, that's not for me. So I don't recommend doing this, people, but I was like a teenager and I weaned myself off my medicine. So I was like, nope, not doing it no more. From there, I kind of just dived deep into music. I dived deep into
Uh,
just being alone and like always being alone in my room, writing, drawing, painting, playing with makeup, doing music, like literally anything that I could do to just
but that's therapy in itself.
be. Yes, to just
Therapy.
be. Yep,
That's
yep,
beautiful. That's a different way of coping with it. And instead of drowning in it, you're coping with it through expressing in other means, through arts, music,
yeah.
writing. That's a way of really healing for those. And
Yes.
what's the number one thing you would recommend to someone that's going through depression? What would you actually um, recommend holistically that they can do today at home if they're going through it? If they feel the way that you feel.
Um, the number one thing I would recommend. Okay, I will gonna say this, but then I'm gonna explain it because I know the way I process things and it would make sense, but it may not to everybody else. I would say get really comfortable with not feeling great.
Okay.
And I know that sounds weird, but it is in the feelings of worthlessness. It is in the feelings of struggle and lack and disappointment and betrayal and grief and sorrow. And I make a joke sometimes that I have a butt imprint in sorrow land, like just made specifically for me because I sat there for so long of my life that
Mm.
we've made friends with it. And now I actually use that as a strength within my business, is being able to help people who are sitting in sorrow because I've made friends with sorrow.
Well, that's beautiful. So you've enabled that as a form of a tool to help you achieve
Yeah.
your goal. That's nice.
Yeah.
Okay, that's
Because
interesting.
I think I naturally have a like extreme type of personality. Maybe not extreme, or maybe that's not the right word, but sometimes I go from one side to the other side real quick. So I think for me, going to the very deepest root of the yucky feeling
Yes.
is how I really alchemize it and move it to where it naturally shifts itself on its own. I
Mm.
don't even have to really like do anything in particular
That's how
for
you
the
cope with it.
feeling.
That's good.
Yep,
Okay.
yep. And there will be days that that technique will work for me, and then there will be days that maybe it doesn't so much, and I need a more lighter approach and not be so heavy-handed with it.
Okay.
So
Okay.
then on those days, maybe I'll play, I'll make sure I'm around children, I'll make sure I'm around animals, I'll, make sure
Oh,
I'm around
they
some.
bring that vibration up. That's the best
Oh,
way,
they
the
do.
best medicine by far is if you have a pet, they bring you up
Yep,
and you
yep,
lever yourself back. Or like you said, children are beautiful because they are careless. They love to
yep.
play and be themselves and they don't judge. They just see everything
Yes.
in color.
Yeah,
And it's the most beautiful thing to be around children
yeah.
to heal yourself
And it
actually.
is.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
I
one of
think
the things I
sometimes.
recommend a lot also, do you get enough sleep? Because sleep is
Yeah, I do now. I didn't though. And I think that I was actually oversleeping,
interesting.
which then led to an imbalance or lack of like real rest. Because I would sleep so much. I would sleep like 16 hours a day.
Wow. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a lot. Yeah,
That
that's a
was
lot.
really in the heavier parts of my depression. And I know that I'm cycling through a cycle when I start to sleep a little later in the morning naturally.
Mm. So you already know your pattern and you work your way through. That's
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah,
That's really good.
I'm still noting and taking account of it, but for the most part, I know around the areas of time that I'll cycle, or at least I know my uh, patterns where
Yes,
I'll
yes.
sleep a little later.
That's beautiful because at least you have now created an awareness to your patterns, your cycles, and you know when it's triggering and you then are able to maneuver that and
Yes.
inspire yourself through your passion projects to get you moving forward. That's beautiful. That's beautiful. Um, in this time, how has that been in that healing modality you've been? How's it been with your family and coping with the family and dealing with all that at once? How are you managing that?
Um,
'Cause I know it
I
could be stressful for some, you know, I've had
yes,
friends that have depression and I understand and I've seen them gone through their challenges with their families, but now they're in a different place,
yeah,
moving forward, thriving and knowing how to juggle that
yeah.
completely almost
I
out.
for I think for a long time I didn't know how to juggle, period. And then I became a mom and I had to juggle. And so then, of course, me naturally having depression, that led on a little postpartum depression journey also
Mm,
that it kind of amplified. And so it was really like, okay, I'm having to juggle, but I literally don't know how. I like literally don't know how. So juggling all of it was a very eye-opening learning adventure because what I didn't realize is that, of course, when I was trying so hard to juggle everything, I
right.
would fall apart really easily.
Wow.
And then when I just kind of let go and let myself, I don't want to say sink into it because that's not what I was doing. I was just releasing, trying to avoid it so hard. Um, and I realized that the the more I leaned on the people around me, even my daughter, the more it helped because I could then understand where she fits in my hand of the juggle, where this person fits in my hand of where I fit in my hand of the juggle, where my depression episode might fit in my hand. Because if and this is a silly analogy, but this just kind of came to me like if you don't know where the parts and pieces of your life that are in your hands are at in your hands, you're going to have a little bit of trouble juggling them or at least catching them all.
Right.
you know, if you don't know exactly what all you're holding. And I think for a while I didn't really know the totality of what I was holding. And until I really leaned into each and everything that was right there in my life, I probably would have just kept uh, trying not to drown, but
Right.
drowning anyway.
That's awesome. So you've been able to see this and work your way through it. And also, you feel like the source is your daughter also helps you
Oh,
hold,
yes.
she grounds you.
Yes, so much. And she just reminds me, because this is a big thing within my brand, presence and awareness. She reminds me of it
Yeah.
every second, because even just look at uh, reminders on Snapchat, like memories on Snapchat or Facebook or whatever. I will watch that moment that I captured 4 or 5 years ago or
Yeah.
something. I'm like, wow, what a beautiful moment. And I know people say, get off your phone, be in the moment. Okay, but if I hadn't captured that moment, that would have been a moment that was really lost forever because at that point in my life, I wasn't practicing presence and stuff
Mm,
like that. So I probably wasn't as much in the moment as I am now
today.
watching it.
That's
So
beautiful. That's
it's
beautiful.
beautiful to really be able to watch yourself deepen what each moment means for you individually, you know?
Oh, absolutely. I could totally agree with that. And I do know my child did the same for me. So I totally understand, you know, from the moment I felt I was carrying her, everything shifted for me. And that was, I think, my time in my journey through healing myself. And it's been a life journey, you know, but I'm at a good place now. It's been since it's 2015 to 2017. I went through a it tested me.
Yep.
And then after that, I've been coasting,
Yeah.
in a very good place, but it tested me from everything I worked up until. It tested me, and then everything after that just opened up. And
That's beautiful.
yeah, you go through it, that you find yourself being tested at times, or you find yourself in the same situation somehow, and then you find when you've done the work that awareness is key to a lot of things that we do, and then patterns you see that you break, or patterns that you see that you're like, wait a second, this didn't do good for me last time. Many times I did it before. This was the results. Now let me do it differently. This works better. And you learn not to be so stubborn in creating change. A lot of people are so, especially the children, are so into a pattern, or knowing some kind of neuroassociation. They stick with it. So one of the things that I had to teach my daughter was to undo that, work with where you are in your environment, and understand how it is to adapt as you move on from one place to the other, because of society, where you live, the people that you live with. Everything is different from when you're born. You move around, and then you're kind of somebody. So it's the same thing with our lives. We're constantly changing. We're changing our appearance every day. We're getting older. We're getting wiser. We're getting, so that actually comes into play a lot. And when you're in their 20s, I guess a lot of kids are going through that identity crisis, because they're trying to figure themselves out. Their brains are not fully developed till the 25. So it's like, of course, you're going to be in confusion. And I think they just have to learn to really seek out, either read. There's so much information out there on YouTube now that it's crazy. You can listen to these beautiful podcasts that can inspire you or make you understand whatever it is that you're dealing with. And there's so much information that's now given to you, whereas before it wasn't, at least in my time, I didn't feel like it was there like it is today. So I think help is definitely at your reach versus years ago in my time, or even years before that. So that's a big difference. So what can you tell our listeners now regarding healing depression and trauma? Like, what can you say to them? Like some kind of advice, or
accept it. Accept it, that it's yours. Accept that it is a sacred gift of yours. And I know that seems hard to do when when you're in the middle of depression, or you're in the middle of some trauma, because I also do trauma work. I have a afterlife and grief sessions, and trauma sanctuary creation, and different things like that I do also. So it's thing about trauma is it's so varied and wide, and it can happen physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, or all together, all at once, right? So it's really about owning it. I know that a lot of people might want to say, you just gotta feel into it, let it go, know that it's not a part of you, and blah, blah, blah. No, I'm saying that it is a part of you. Because the more you integrate and accept, and not accept the fact that it happened to you, or that you were traumatized by this, or that you have depression, or that you are depressed, or anything like that. That's not saying just love it. That's not what I'm saying.
I totally agree. Agree, because I think that from that, it makes who we are. It makes us who we are. And a lot of times I've seen, including myself and others that I've seen that are now celebrities, have become someone understanding, or they work towards that goal to help others with that same situation. And somehow it's like, it like you said, it helps the person move forward. Use what you have and use it for good, like yourself. Use when your depression comes in, and whatever that word it feels like, that's what you use to empower yourself. So I think it's very good to own what happened and understand that yes, it's happened, but there's something in the end, in the positive way that it brings out, it helps you understand more of that, or how to help others, or there's just so many different ways that you can heal from that if you want to
Yeah.
look at
Because
it.
especially particularly, I think a lot of times the issue lies in is when you try to run away from it like it didn't happen, or you try to almost separate that part of yourself like it's not a part of you. That's where the biggest internal wars we have is when we say, no, 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 all of you is good here except for you.
Absolutely. And I think that the more you run away from it, the more it keeps coming back at you.
Oh, yeah,
You'll
bigger and
find,
bigger.
yes, you'll find either other people like you or other situations that come and bring it back at you, and you find yourself like you can't really run away from it. You have to confront it. Some fall into darker depression, but in the end, if you confront it, you open yourself up to healing that wound and
Yeah.
learning to deal with it like you have, in different ways. Yeah, that's beautiful. Any positive highlights you may want to share with the world?
Just keep. I was gonna quote a song, keep moving forward. But yeah, pretty much, because it's just knowing that every single this is what I wish I would have been able to explain to myself when I was in my 20s, like my younger 20s, because I'm 28 now. I still feel like a baby, like in the scheme of life, but I do know far more ways to collaborate with myself and this life now than I did before. So if I wanted to like tell myself something then, it would really just be like, I know that this may not make sense right now, but every single thing, down to the tiniest micro detail of a fly landing 3 feet away from you, it all is working for your personal greatest good. Like, I can't give you the whys and hows and all of that. I can just tell you that that is true. And if you hold that, like, if you integrate that truth, you can really probably get through most anything.
That's beautiful. That's a nice little advice. Very good. Thank you. Thank you. And any word of wisdom that you want to share today as well? Anything else?
No, I just
No?
thank you. I
Thank you
really
so much.
appreciate this opportunity.
I was very blessed to have you, I guess reach out on Instagram. And it was nice to see other women out there making a difference and trying to make a change. And I think this kind of inspired me also to push forward with the podcast. So I can actually show other people that it's not, they're not alone. So thank you for
Yes.
sharing your healing journey and what you've been doing and what you continue to do. I wish you much love and light, luck into your passion, that project that you're putting out there. And I definitely want to, when it happens, I love to see you come back and tell us how it's been.
Heck yes, I would love to.
So thank you so much for joining me today. And I would love everyone else to know that I will put her link below for Instagram so you can reach out to her for any questions or just follow her for more
Yes.
inspiration. Thank you
You
so
are
much.
so welcome to come on over.
Absolutely. Well, much luck with your passion project. With your again, tell us the name of your project.
Right now, the project is a course called Mastering Yourself Practices. Transform your relationships, cultivate inner freedom, and integrate harmony.
Beautiful, beautiful. Well, much luck with you with your passion project, and it will come into fruition. Just like you said, let it flow.
Yep.
Well,
Thank you so much.
Alexandria. Thank you so much for having this time with us today, and I look forward to seeing you soon.
You
Have a
too.
wonderful one. Thank you,
Thank
everybody,
you.
for listening.
Thank you.
Namaste.